All right. Greetings and welcome, everyone. It's All You Can Geek Gamecast episode 493. I'm one of your hosts, Jim Gast, joined by Mike Steedy.
What's up?
Corey Feinside.
Yo.
And Tony Korkanakis.
Hey.
Welcome, guys. Welcome, listeners and viewers, to 493 of the Gamecast. I didn't know if I said Gamecast in the intro. I'm sorry. I hope I did. We were in the middle of a conversation as I hit the record button. And when you hit record on this, you just gotta go. So Corey got the AirPod Pros.
Yeah, finally.
That's what you're talking about. Upgrades.
Yay.
So
they were on sale last week. So.
How you liking them?
Good so far. I just got them today, so I haven't really got a chance to mess around.
Okay. I was gonna have you deep dive in here for the start of the podcast, but I guess we'll wait for your feedback next week. I've seriously put them in my cart a few times. That and an iPad Pro.
Yeah. I mean, the tips work really well because I never really use my left one too often.
Yeah, it always kind of this one always is loose in my ear. It's like waiting to fall out.
So actually fits really well. I can do some sporty exercising stuff and not be a problem.
Cool. Well, I have my old Beats, the Beats Pro, what do you call it? The Studio.
Is that the wrap around the ear ones?
They're not the cover ones. They're the over the tops, but they're not the engulfing.
But they have
ones.
like a little loop, right? That goes behind
yeah. No, I don't have those. No, I have the actual overhead.
The big ones.
The solos. But they're not the over the ear. They're on the ear ones. But I'm looking at eventually upgrading those because they're terrible at calls. If you get a phone call, they're horrible quality for phone calls. And so plus they're huge and they flop around a little bit, and I don't know. People love those things, but I like to just have the small earpieces in. So,
same.
Not that we can exercise much right now. I'm trying, but it's
plus wireless, man. Once you go wireless, it's like
mine are wireless.
No, I'm just saying. Once you go to wireless, you can't. It's hard for me at least.
I mean, the individual ear
cabled.
Yeah. Well, I like the AirPods because for most of my Apple devices, especially right now at home, I'm switching between multiple computers with work, and I'm thinking how much easier it would be. So we have to talk about that afterwards, how good that is. But all right, let's get into the Gamecast. Corey, what have you been playing?
Well, been playing Final Fantasy VII Remake, so I think we're all. I know Tony will talk about that as well.
Oh yes, I can join in a little bit because I did get to play a little bit of that. So
okay, finally, I mean, we had to wait because Amazon was like, we're gonna ship this to you, so you don't get the weekend to play it. But we got this past weekend, so probably played, maybe 20% into it now. I'd say I don't know.
5 hours? No, that's longer. That's 25% is 10 hours, right? It's a 40-hour game, I think.
Yeah, I'm probably around 6 or 7 hours, I guess, maybe.
It might be 30 to 40. I'm not sure what.
Who knows? Yeah, but it's been great so far. Really enjoy what I've been playing. Obviously, it's got the nostalgia factor, but then it's kind of new as well because it's been so long.
Yeah.
That this is cool, and then obviously seeing it in this new graphic engine is just amazing. It's, eye-popping, and you're like, oh my god, this scene in the old one, and then you see it redone here is everything I thought this game was.
Yeah. Everything I remember it looking this way, but it never looked that way.
Yeah, no, it never looked that way, but in your head it looked that way.
Yeah, it was those cutscenes. It was those great cutscenes they had. Yeah. Tony, you're playing a lot of it too. You want to jump in on this too?
Oh yeah, I mean that's pretty much all I did this past week because a lot of my friends are they got it beforehand, so they're trying to talk to me for it for 4 days or whatever. I'm just don't have it, don't talk to me about it. I don't want to know anything. Even stuff I already wouldn't know about.
We already know spoilers, so it's not really major.
There are little changes here and there too.
Yeah,
so
there are little changes. Where I'm just
yes, there are. Yeah.
It's wait a second, it looked a little funny, stuff like that. But yeah, I mean it's really fantastic, and honestly, Square Enix nailed it out of the park. Better than I ever hoped the remake could ever possibly be, even especially when they announced it 5 years ago or whatever, and I was like, this is I remember even saying this is Square Enix's trump card. It's that's it. They don't have anything else to pull out of their nostalgia past really that's on that level and stuff like that. And then with all the woes from the first developer, where they just restarted development, I was like, I don't know about this, guys, but yeah, it's fantastic. I wouldn't say it's perfect. There's definitely some design issues I have, and it's I don't want to gripe on them too much, but I just have to talk about it. Like they definitely took a play out of the Sony playbook, where it's like, hey, just like hold the joystick forward and like slowly walk and then duck under something, or like wedge yourself between like this tight spot while characters talk. I'm like, my God, like why are we still doing this? It's 2020, please, like stop this.
Gotta load those next areas.
I know. Oh God, I can't wait for that to go away with this next generation stuff like that. But other than that, I mean, it feels awesome. The moment-to-moment action gameplay is really fun. The combination of like real time and then slowing down the action so you can do specific commands and stuff is really cool. The stagger system is mostly really interesting too. Kind of reminds me of like Corey, Xenoblade Chronicles, where you have to like shatter the enemies, orbs and stuff like that to really like pile on the damage, stuff like that. Not to the extent, but the same degree. There are some issues I have with it though. I'm not saying it's bad, but like a boss that would take you like 2 minutes in the original, it's like, oh, this is like a 15 to 20 minute boss fight and stuff like that. It's like this guy was not like the first boss. Yeah. It's like that was not that hard. Yeah,
a lot of reduced hits. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah.
But yeah, I mean, everything. The character models are great. Midgar itself is just sublime to like just go through and run around, and it really makes you feel more alive because like in the original they really rushed you through this city section of the game. It's like, hey, here's the premise, here's a couple background characters and stuff like that, and you're out of here. And it's like, oh, okay, whatever. I was never really attached to anybody, and in this time I'm just like, oh man, like, all right.
You get to know some of these people a little bit more, and
a lot more, yeah. And I'm just like, well, that's going to be a shame.
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
They're really giving you that story. I'm expecting that. I've only played the hour. I'm in the tunnel. I just got done with the demo boss. I played the demo again in the game. Enjoyed that, and then it's about an hour is what I played. So I will say though that like this combat is already the best combat that I've played in like in an RPG, and like I can't even remember. Like it's unbelievable how good the combat is.
You like this better than 15's combat?
Yeah, this is like more satisfactory in terms of its like I've played. I'm trying to think, like the Tales games are very similar to what they were early on with what they were doing with this, but it's like Square has done such a great job with using your team to switch between. Like for when I first heard about this game, I'm like, I'm just gonna probably play some classic mode, the combat, and just not worry about this new fighting style because I'm like, I don't care about this. And then I'm like, I gave the demo a chance, and I'm like, let me just play the demo and see if I like the new system. And I'm like, holy shit, I do like this system. And now playing it in this game, I'm like, yeah, I definitely love this thing. It's awesome. Like the combat's fantastic. I just here's my problem. Like, and I wanted to bring this up right away, and we can get into what we're going to after this more. Nintendo is bringing us Super Mario 64, a remaster, and I'm like, after this Final Fantasy VII remake and the Resident Evil games that I've like been playing. I played Resident Evil 2 and Resident Evil 3 looks amazing. Like Nintendo really's got to bring their A game with this remaster. I really think they have to. Like, my expectations are really high for Super Mario 64 remake or whatever they're doing, remaster, whatever I don't want to just see like a little bit of a graphics improvement. I want to see like what they did with Zelda almost, with the like the Link's Awakening. I want to see.
I think the thing is like, because I've talked about this before, and that like I don't care too much about backwards compatibility, right? Because I always want to see something new and exciting and innovative. And so with these remakes, if you're just redoing the game exactly the way it was and just making it prettier, that's not as interesting as when you like are remaking the game and like making it better, making it
like
better.
Tony, like one of your
remake
things
versus remaster.
Yeah, I think.
Right. I mean, you want to make the game better. You want to improve on what was there, and then refine
like, that's
it.
the thing. Like Tony, you said how great it was that they changed up Resident Evil 2 with the dog scenes, at the sequence where it was like the first time.
They did move them around, move things around.
Okay.
So some stuff.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It changed the original introduction of the dogs. So it's like in Final Fantasy, I've noticed already, like even like certain like the way the sequences go and the conversations you have with people, it's completely different already. In my first hour that I've played it, there's different things. Not that I'm an expert in remembering things, but I do know the basis of how it goes in the beginning, and I'm like, I don't remember that at all. So it's like in part of the story, I was like, I don't remember that at all. But I can't talk about it because we're not giving spoilers here. It's too new, and I'm only an hour in, but I'm not going to talk about it. But I'm very impressed with this game and how amazing it looks and how nice it controls. Like I thought this was going to be a cluster. I really did. I'll admit it right now.
No, I think we all did. Like,
well, the development process alone was like kind of scary.
Because back when it was announced, 5 years ago, I mean, Square Enix was in a much different position. They were just coming off of, the PS3 360 generation, where you had 3 Final Fantasy 13 games, which were not as well received.
A big failure in Final Fantasy 12.
Yeah.
Or 14, or whatever it was.
Yeah, 14. Well, 14 exactly. They're just in the
14 rebounded, didn't they though?
Well, they did. Yeah, but they had to redo the entire game.
Right.
Yeah.
A Realm Reborn. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, initially that was god awful. So.
Yeah.
But yeah, Final Fantasy 7 remake. Really, really fantastic so far. Have you beaten it, Tony? Or
no, I'll probably be finishing it up this weekend, which is good because I'm on call next week, so I won't have as much free time. But yeah, it's one of the things where I can already see myself going through the game again, because when you beat it, you unlock the hard mode. So I'm like interested in trying that. But the thing to me is like the bittersweetness of knowing that this isn't going to be completed for a long time.
I get it.
That's what it is. I'm enjoying it so much that I'm already like, oh man, like I can't wait.
You're waiting for that.
Right, like Cosmo Canyon. I can't wait to meet Vincent and Yuffie, Wutai and stuff like that, or Costa del Sol and stuff. I'm like, it's not gonna happen this game. Like, I'm gonna wait 3, 4, 5 years for that.
What I was curious about is like, would they, and I guess I don't spoilers, but like, would they throw in characters that come in later in the game just so you could get a taste of them in this game? I was wondering if they're gonna do that. So it'll be interesting to see. Yeah.
Yeah. Who knows?
It's like
I just
have no idea
ends.
when the next one's coming.
I wonder where it ends. Like, so when I'm playing this game now, like when I get into this more, my mind's gonna be like, okay, where's that stop happening? Like, where is it? Where do the credits roll? And I'm like, am I gonna be pissed when that happens? So
that's the other part that I really want to beat this game, because like there's so much conversation about the ending right now. And controversy. And I'm just like, shit, like I want to be part of that. And like I'm trying to limit myself with like Twitter and Reddit and all that stuff, but like every now and then, like I see like a piece of fan art or whatever, I'm like, ooh, do I click on this? Because I don't know what this is gonna be. Like, it could be anything.
No, I've been avoiding it like crazy. So but cool. Corey, anything else?
No, I mean, just echoing what you guys said too. It's, I mean, beautiful game.
Anything else you played?
Not really. Just been trying to focus on Final Fantasy. Because the same reason, like I want to beat it and then just kind of see what people are talking about with it and everything.
Yeah.
And see, I want to see how it ends too. Like I want to see where they put it, because there are spots that make sense, but then like, are they gonna kind of subvert that expectation and do something different? Like, who knows?
Right. Yep.
Yeah. Tony, anything else you played?
Just some more Animal Crossing, but nothing new with that. There's a new update coming out this week, so that's cool. A lot of free content updates and stuff like that. We can get into the news, but
yeah. Mike, anything for you?
Well, it's been Yakuza 0 most of this
that's
week.
right. Yeah.
Yeah.
How is it?
It's a game. No, I'm putting time in it. I'm liking parts of it and almost quitting in other parts of it. But there's stretches where I just feel kind of bored with it, and then like you find a new thing you can do, or I finally find a mini game I understand how to play. Like there's loads of mini games I don't know how to play mahjong or whatever, some other strategy game in there, but finally came across to see where it was sold for blackjack. So I'm like, all right, I can do that.
You're getting gymmed over there.
This is not me. Mike, you're chopping up.
Yeah, we heard about the mini games.
I heard about the mini games, so.
Yeah. But no, I've put a fair amount of time, and I'm probably going to continue. I've had like 24 hours into it already, so.
Nice.
But apparently, I also looked up the number of chapters. I'm only like a third of the game through, so There's a lot to it. I'll give it that. I'm not in love with the combat. I don't hate it, but it's just kind of middle of the road for me. We'll see going forward when I, level up my guys a little more. But it also has this annoying thing that when the story starts to get interesting, it switches characters.
Mhm.
And I'm not a big fan of that, but whatever. We'll see how it goes. But it's definitely a different type of game, and it's just kind of funny to me, the sort of tonal shifts that it has.
Yeah. All right. Am I freezing? No. Good.
No.
All right. I don't know when I'm freezing now because Mike's lagging. So it's like, am I freezing? Because it used to be my go-to. Like, oh, I'm lagging. Son of a bitch. I just know it. And anyways, so like I said, I played a little bit of Final Fantasy VII. It's a really good game. I'm actually watching the Resident Evil remake gameplay, which, man, that's crude. Like, that is like that. The camera on that game is like, wow, that's rough. I can't play this game.
You're talking like remake on GameCube or something, or
yeah, the the Resident Evil remake. Yeah, the one they remade.
Okay. Yeah, just want to make sure.
So,
yeah, because
I'm watching that. I'm like, man, there's like that game. The camera is just like, fuck that. I could not play that game. I'm happy I'm watching this because I'm like, you can't, like, there's a zombie coming at you from around a corner, but the camera's fixed, so you can't even see where the fucking thing is, and it's just like you can hear it. And I'm just watching the guy stand there, waiting for it to come around the corner and start shooting it. I'm just like, you can tell who's doing the playthrough because they've played it before, because they're just sitting there like, I see them start walking slowly suddenly. I'm like, why? And then, dog jumps over the fence or something like that. It's just like, okay. So I'm like, I have to say, it looks very good. Like, the zombies look fantastic.
Still holds up. Yeah.
Yeah. But the camera's not good. The camera sucks. So I'm happy I'm watching that, though. Like, I get a little more story. I've never played the original game whatsoever, so I've never even really watched it. So, yep.
What?
Yep. Never.
Wow.
So this is the first time I'm experiencing it. So I'm actually enjoying that. I'm about midway through that gameplay for Jill. But it's cool because it gives a little more meaning for Barry when he goes when he bites it in the third one.
You are almost a Jill sandwich.
Yeah. He's an interesting character. And Wesker. Now I can see Wesker, the origins of Wesker here, so that's cool. But yeah, so the big thing I've been playing, because it's been a busy week for me, has been Animal Crossing. And I was gonna say, like, on probably Saturday or Sunday, I think I was about to message you guys. I'm not even kidding you. I was probably about to message the group saying, I really don't like Animal Crossing. Like, this game, I fucking don't know what I'm doing. I'm bored. But the beautiful thing about when you have such little time to play the games this week as I've had, that game is designed so well to be that small piecemeal. And so I've been like chipping away at it like 30 minutes at a time, or I'll play like an hour here, and then then you get your house and that freaking Tom Nook. This is nice, but and by the way, it's 98,000, whatever that is. I forget they're using as currency. He's like, bells to pay me back, and I'm like, can I pay you? I even asked him, can I pay you in miles? And he's like, no.
Don't be silly. Don't be absurd.
So I have to say that I got into it like crazy the other night when I messaged you about I'm gonna hop in and play it for a little bit because I had like 30 minutes to spare. That 30 minutes turned into like 3 hours. I was because like. Yeah, well, Arya sat out with me, and it's great because she loves the look of the game, so I'm playing it, and she's enjoying the game while I'm playing it too. So like it adds to the whole thing. So I'm like, okay, well, she's enjoying the game. I'm fishing. She's like pointing out stuff I'm missing on the ground to dig up. I went to another island. This was like the first time where the game just kind of opened. Like I went to an island, and I'm like, I just got a new friend to the island, and I'm like, okay, like here the game goes. Like, okay, now I got to do this. I got to do this. And before it was like, okay, you can just do this, and then you have to kind of wait. And then you can do this, and you gotta kind of wait. And now it's like, now you have to wait a little bit, but you have all of this other stuff you could take care of right now while you're waiting. Yep. And that debt, it's still there, so you can pay it back. So I can't wait. Like as soon as I got that, I'm like, man, this guy's gonna be like that. Well, you could, thanks for paying me back, but wouldn't you want something a little bigger? Yeah, I'm sure that's happening.
That's exactly what it is. It's like, so congratulations on buying your first house.
Yeah.
So here's the bill, but and then talk to me, let's make it a little bigger. Let's add an extra room to it. It's like, oh shit, like how deep?
Well, I've already said, like, I want I want another room already. Like I want that. I don't have that part yet.
Yeah.
But I'm like, you can like do nothing in this game. Like you can just sit there and fish. Like I'm acquiring fish, and like there's the fish food where you can like, I'm guessing that's what gets you rarer fish. Am I right about that or no?
They can
really?
They can help.
Yeah. And then then I found out what apples do. I'm like, holy shit! I hear I'm just eating apples for no reason. Now I know what they do. It's like it all just starts to click together. And I love the way it clicked. Like, because I'm serious. Like on Saturday, I think it was like Saturday or Sunday. I'm like, fuck this game. Like this is boring. I'm like, I don't see what the big draw for this game is. And then like I seriously played it for 3 hours. Yesterday. Was it yesterday I said that? And then I'm like, where the hell did the time go? Holy shit!
Yep.
And then. So that's also another reason why I didn't even dive into more Final Fantasy VII, because I actually had that much free time finally, and I ended up playing Animal Crossing.
Oh, that's beautiful, because like one day it's like, you know what, I don't really feel like playing it too much, so I'm just gonna like, it's like log in. It's like, all right, I'm gonna check my mail, I'm gonna talk to a couple of my villagers, maybe dig up the fossils that spawn every day, and then I'm done. Or you can be like, you know what, fuck it, I'm renovating my entire island and stuff like that.
Today was let me get my stuff I ordered. Get that, see the new person I invited to my island, and that was pretty much it. It was a short stop in there and turned it off, and I'm like, okay, I ordered a couple more things because I'll get them tomorrow, and that's where I'm at. I have a debt to Tom Nook, but I'm like, I'm still spending money. I don't care. I'm not paying you back right that quickly.
Right.
So
yeah, exactly. And he doesn't charge you like.
No, there's no interest. Like it's okay. If he charges you interest, oh my god, I start hitting.
Yeah, that'd be.
Pay this back by this amount or 2 points a week.
So Ari just likes to watch you. She has like no interest in like playing it herself so far, or?
I think she kind of does, but I think I might start handing my controller off for like fishing and like get her to practice with that, and just that's what I'm gonna start doing. So before she gets her own character, because I've heard so many horror stories with like just like the game itself in terms of somebody not having their own system and like wanting their own character, and it doesn't sound like it was well designed for that, even though it wasn't.
It can and it can't be. I mean, a lot of the people that are complaining are like the adults that want everything for nothing and stuff like that. But whatever. And if the worst case scenario, you can just get her a Switch Lite, and it should be good.
Yeah, so that's true.
You heard it here, folks.
Yeah. So, all right. And that's pretty much it for me. Those were the big things, 3 things for me. So let's get into the news. We have a topic tonight, actually, too. So let's get into that, too. Oh, let me open the news. Hang on. All right. We've got... oh, cool. I didn't even see the Xbox thing you just posted. That's looking at it live. NPD. Let's kick off with NPD. Switch is having a hell of a month. Animal Crossing is the fastest of its series, selling-wise, right?
Yep.
What else we got here? I didn't get all the numbers yet, so...
So, I mean, the big news was... First of all, Animal Crossing was number one for the month. Yeah. The month. And that's without digital, which is insane because, I mean, Call of Duty is still, trailblazing like every year. It's always in the top 10 and stuff like that. So even, combined sales of PC, Xbox, PS4, plus digital still, didn't beat out Animal Crossing, which is kind of crazy to think about because, I mean, it's Animal Crossing. And this easily sold probably like, I don't know, at least 2 million units.
It hit at a great time, unfortunately, with the current events and things.
Pandemic, yeah.
Oh yeah,
really,
it was
like,
well. Like, look at the whole market has like blown up, and this is why GameStop is so adamant about reopening so fast, because they're missing all of the sales stuff. I just read an article they're opening in South Carolina because they're allowed to. Yeah. So, but anyways, yeah. So I mean,
beaches are opening now.
Yeah, but Animal Crossing, Matt Piscatella made an entire thread because he's actually a big fan of the game because I'm friends with him on Switch actually. So I see him like log in a lot and it's just like Matt is playing Animal Crossing. I'm like, Matt, you got you. But stated that Animal Crossing New Horizons achieved the 3rd highest launch month in terms of physical dollars and units of any Nintendo published game in tracked history, trailing only behind Smash Bros. Ultimate and Smash Bros. Brawl in 2018, 2008. Respectively, which is insane to think about. And there's an asterisk there because they don't count all the Pokemon games as one release. So like Sword, Shield are separate. It's not combined. Right. Combined it would. But still, every other fucking Nintendo game, other than the Smash Brothers games, like that's crazy to think about.
Mario, because, like, Zelda, yeah.
Right, Mario, Zelda is like none of that just fucking out the window. Animal Crossing just like, you know what? Fuck you. Like people just want, Tom Nook Island resorts. It's like insane. The social media shit on Reddit.
Simulator,
yeah. On Twitter and Reddit. I mean, I know it's catered and stuff, but like seriously, even when I like just go to like the top, for the day or something like that, there's at least always one thing about Animal Crossing. So it's reached this cultural like zeitgeist where just like it's just in the mind. And I've seen like 3 people that I know don't even like really play video games. They're like, I can't find a Switch. I really want Animal Crossing. It's like, you had 3 years to buy one. Like, sorry, you waited to the wrong moment to buy one. But yeah, so I mean, it was a healthy month overall for everybody. What does Matt say? 9 of the top 10 best-selling games of March 2020 generated higher dollars than similarly ranked titles a year ago.
Definitely Corona help.
Oh yeah. In terms of hardware, let's see. Nintendo Switch set a new March hardware record, beating its own record of launch month. And our buddy Benji confirmed it sold over 1 million in March, which is crazy. I don't think that's ever been done before by a home console in the month of March. Yeah. So yeah, that's a hell of a.
You can't find them, so.
Yeah, exactly. PS4 and Xbox One were still up, I think, 25% year over year, which is crazy because this should be the last year and it should be on a downward trend, but because of Corona and stuff like that. So, tracked spending across hardware, software, accessories, game card totaled $1.6 billion, up 35% when compared to a year ago. So, and then its highest reported spend for a March month since March 2008. So, in over 12 years. So yeah, Corona, there's some silver linings to the issue at hand and stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, top 20, let's pick up the interesting things. So like Animal Crossing, Call of Duty Modern Warfare, MLB The Show showed up at number 3. People got to get their baseball fix since it's not on.
Nobody else. There's no real baseball right now, so.
It'll be interesting to see what happens because this is the last year for PlayStation exclusivity. So, maybe it'll take it to newer heights. I can only imagine.
Yeah, well, it's being developed by the same company too, which is interesting because it's Sony owned.
Yeah, it's interesting. Number 4 is Resident Evil 3. Number 5, NBA 2K20. Number 6, Doom Eternal.
Doom Eternal is pretty good up there.
Yep. 7, Persona 5 Royal.
Persona 5 made it up there. That's awesome.
8, Jim, what does 8 say? It's a little blurry on my screen.
Yeah.
I don't know. It says on vacation. So, okay. 8 went on vacation.
9. Yep. Number 9, Borderlands 3. Number 10, Mario Kart Deluxe.
I mean, how many copies have they sold Mario Kart Deluxe? Like, I would love to know the number right now.
It's probably approaching 30 million at this point.
It's going to get into my Grand Theft Auto 5 category at some point.
Yep.
How many times do you have to buy this game?
Yep, exactly. The newer games, 11 was Neo 2. Number 15 was Pokemon Mystery Dungeon. Number 20, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 Remastered.
Yeah.
So, good month overall. Looks like Activision, Nintendo, Take-Two, big winners. EA, a little bit. Just Dance 2020, the only Ubisoft title, top 20.
Yeah. Just piggybacking that, Final Fantasy VII Remake is the fastest selling PS4 exclusive. So, just adding that onto there. 3.5 million copies sold. Yes, time exclusive. 3.5 million copies sold in 3 days. So, interesting numbers.
Yeah, it was definitely pent-up demand. And that's another title that nobody could find. I was talking to my friend Kevin. He's like, I want this game, and I can't have it. I was like, dude, haven't you learned after like 2 decades of gaming to pre-order stuff? Because I kind of gave him the spiel that I gave you, Jim, about your back-to-back, what was it, Fire Emblem and Marvel Ultimate Alliance mishaps last year. Yeah, like you didn't pre-order and you couldn't find it and stuff like that. I was like,
he doesn't want to buy it digitally, I assume.
No, he didn't want to buy it digitally. Well, I was like, well, you gotta wait then, dude. Like, I don't know.
If you don't want to buy digital, then make sure you.
And the thing is, like, I just don't understand it. Like, it's just a little rant here, but it's like so many, especially online. You just pre-order it, they don't even charge you until it ships.
Yeah.
Like, why not? Why not do it? I just don't understand.
And then, we got the deluxe versions because of Amazon.
Yeah, because of the glitch. Yeah. So. Let's see. What's next? Oh, Jason Schreier is leaving Kotaku. He left Kotaku, didn't he?
Yep.
Yeah. That's official. He went to Bloomberg.
Yes. The interesting thing about that, I mean, that's a huge move. I don't know that that's been done in the game industry in terms of journalism, at least within the same sphere. If it has, I don't remember it being talked about as much. But the interesting piece is here is that Bloomberg reached out to him because they want to do more of the pieces that he's, more well known for now with like the investigation,
investigative journalism. I mean,
exactly.
That's what people want. Like, well, at least that's what I'm more interested in, and then not these fluff pieces you get a lot of times.
Right, not these like top 10, whatever waifus and shit like that.
Maybe like an inside look at something, or
All right, but they specifically said that they wanted investigative pieces, and they wanted more like shedding light on like the crunch business practices and underdoings of the video game industry, which I think is really cool. I mean Bloomberg is a well-known entity. I don't know about positive or negative. I mean that's huge. Now that he's not going to be restricted by Kotaku and their shitty owners and stuff like that, I'm hoping we're going to see a lot more pieces from him. So props to Jason.
He's got another book coming out too. So looking forward to seeing what that is.
Cool. Yeah, I can't wait for that book. So we'll see how it goes. Let's see. We've got Zuj talking about weirdly enough, Bloomberg article about the Sony's planning to ship between 5 and 6 million consoles through of the PlayStation 5 through March 2021. So less than the PS4.
Less than the PS4, which.
But I mean, this time I think there's gonna be less supply. I think we're gonna have a confined supply restrictions. I really do.
Oh no, absolutely.
If it even launches this year, that's my thing. So price in the region of $500 is like what we expected, I think, right? Did we not expect? Oh, but Corey, we argued about $399. I told you, it's gonna be $500. There's no way. There's just no way.
No, I know, and I said that they have to come out at $400. But I mean, they're not saying that they won't come out at higher, prices, but I think they had to.
$400, I think, was the mass market price, and I think they showed that last gen, where it was like. It wasn't, $300 cheap where they would like lose so much money on each unit sold, but not, $599 US, that's like a month of rent, and stuff like that. It's like, that's pretty crazy. And, I understand because like they're, again, pushing for new tech expensive, especially when you're competing with a lot of the other big companies for the same components, especially the same year. It's not like before where, Xbox 360 launched a whole year ahead of PlayStation 3.
Right.
And it's not like the Wii was competing for the same, memory chips and boards and all that stuff. So, it's just a different time.
Yeah, and if they both come out at the same price, that changes things. So.
Yeah.
And I think they're okay with charging the higher price now because, I mean, as unfortunate it is to say, like, we're probably going to be entering a global recession or depression, depending on your point of view. But, why come out cheaper and lose more money when it might not even make that much of a difference, versus a $500 system. And, like selling, I mean, no matter what, they're probably going to sell those 5 million units, right?
Sure.
It's a matter of, selling 5 million units times 100, like losing $100, that's $500 million that you're just pissing away and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And it's going to be short. And, it'll be interesting to see how much this affects the next generation. I know we talked about this a lot with like the cross-gen, even last time around was like kind of painful. Where we're just like, what was the big, PS4 game, that you couldn't play on PlayStation 3? They had like what, was it Killzone or?
I don't even know at launch what it was going to be.
Knack,
because Knack, yeah,
stuff that nobody cared about. Like
Corey was playing Call of Duty, remember?
Oh yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
So I think, I mean, does this position Microsoft better when we see this news leaking about the Lockhart Xbox? If they're going to have the cheaper console, then so they're going to have a probably $399 system, I would assume, right?
Yeah. So the other interesting piece, if we want to transition to that,
I'm just saying it goes together. They go together. So.
Yeah. So one of the things that people have been noticing is that a lot of these online retailers, and it started with the Microsoft Store itself, actually, started selling the Xbox One X at like kind of like fire sale price. I think it was like $200, $250 or something like that.
I think they're $229 or something like that. I saw them for some. Yeah,
something ridiculous. Yeah. But it coincides with the speculation that the lower tier of the next Xbox is going to just be the replacement for the Xbox One X. Like that's it. Where like they were able to maybe refine the chip size a little bit down, maybe make it more energy efficient. I don't know. something like that, where it's like maybe the new, like the budget Xbox system is just going to be, Xbox One X 0.5 or whatever like that.
Yeah, it looks like it's similar. I mean, 4 teraflop GPU. It looks very similar to the Xbox Series X, but probably on the new. No.
You got a little droidy.
Oh, did I? I wasn't looking at my screen. I was reading.
Yeah. No, I know that.
So it's probably similar to the Series X, Xbox One X. The Series S is probably similar to that in terms of its power. It looks like 4 teraflops, but it's going to have the newer chipset. So that's a positive right there. It'll probably run cooler, and so it's like it's still going to support, but we'll offer aspects of next generation, presumably in the form of NVMe, which is loading speeds, and some limited ray tracing, which you can't do in the Xbox One X. So then we'll have some positives about that. So interesting though, they would have that $399 price point then, more than likely, if they're both doing $500 on the most powerful one. I would assume.
Mm-hmm.
Unless Microsoft's doing a $600 machine, I don't. You never know. So
It could be a bundle or something. They come with that external drive that's proprietary.
So yeah, it's interesting. What else we have on here? Is that it? I think that's it. We did it all. All the news is done. All right, let's get into our topic real quick. We've talked about all these other systems. We've talked about N64. We've talked about Super Nintendo, Genesis. We're into PlayStation and Saturn. Now, Saturn had a very limited lifespan, so a lot of people didn't even get to play it. Mike, you've been quiet over here. You haven't gotten to play a lot of these games. I'm sorry. It's no. So like, you didn't have. I have to before we start this list. I gotta ask. Like, you don't have like a man. I wish I played that game. Like, I never got to play these games.
Well,
like
I had
Demolition Derby or...
I had a 32X with 2 games, and that was it.
But you never got to play Virtua Fighter?
I played Virtua Fighter on 32X. That was one of my main games. Yep, right. That was pretty much it. But no, again, like the only thing might be Metal Gear Solid.
Yeah, Metal Gear Solid. I mean, there's so many great games. Like Saturn itself had like the best Bomberman originally. Like that was the best Bomberman. It really was.
All right, but that's not something that appealed to me.
I had a list of Virtual Cop was awesome. Virtual Cop, that was one of the ones.
Oh, if you had those guns, hell yeah.
Yeah. Corey had that. Didn't you?
Those guns were expensive too, right? Like back in the day.
Yeah.
Like you could buy like a new game for the price of a gun, right?
I think there was like the bundle or something where it came with a game. I think that was like $80. Yeah. It was $80.
But if you wanted that second gun,
right, which you had,
who's going to be like, hey, I'm going to get to use the gun. Here's the controller, buddy. Like,
no, I don't think I ever played that game with a controller.
Like, did the N64 get MK Ultimate?
I think it probably did.
I thought it got Trilogy. It got
something. I don't know. I didn't play Mortal Kombat back then.
Anthology or
it got one of them, but Virtua Fighter 2 you weren't interested in?
I got the first Virtua Fighter. I was interested in 2, but that's it.
I don't know. I'm just shocked that you didn't have like, oh man, I wish I had always played this. But so we have a list here.
A couple games. That's about it.
I mean, Corey, did you get a Saturn list and a PlayStation list together?
No, I got Saturn. I didn't think about PlayStation yet. But...
I did 2 lists, so I can do this myself here.
Okay.
Tony,
I think with PlayStation there's a couple obvious ones, but I'm sure they're going to be.
I'm not into like JRPGs or like horror games, so like.
My list is a lot of JRPGs. So for PlayStation at least, my Saturn list is much better though. I mean, like if I did my number 5 because I have 2 lists to go through on PlayStation, I started off with Parappa the Rappa. I told that to Tony. Wow. Like I thought that was a classic game. Mike, you never got to play that one, or did you?
I know what it is, but no,
it's
I never played it.
It's a fantastic game. Holy shit. Love that game. I would play that in my store this was when I was managing a store at EB Games. And so I would play that on the console, like the actual, I wasn't managing yet at that point. I was an associate. So I would play it on the demo unit that we had. But I love the Parappa the Rappa game. So, love that game. That was my number 5 game. Tony, what would be your number 5 PlayStation game?
Let me see here. I'll go with Final Fantasy VII actually, just because we were talking about the remake. It was one of those games where, like as a teenager when that game came out and going through that was amazing. But after beating it, and I beat it, like completionist 100% back in the day. Not that you had achievements to prove it, but it's like, hey, I beat all the
Yeah, I played
optional bosses.
I've got Knights of the Round. I got Knights of the Round.
Material. Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
Like I beat it, and I had no desire to ever go back and play it again. Like even in that generation. But then the further we got out from that, the further I just didn't have any desire, because I was like, graphics have not aged well, especially the blocky like models.
Oh yeah, polygons just don't. Yeah, they don't.
Like looking at it just hurts my eyes, and it's really surprising. I'm not sure if I mentioned on this podcast, but like I'm surprised about the nostalgia behind those like terrible Lego blocky models, because like Square Enix has released like character sets of them and stuff like that, where just like the the Lego Cloud and stuff like that, and just like people have nostalgia. Like, okay, that's great. Like I'm not trying to yuck on anybody's yums, but I'm just like, like nope, can't do that. So Final Fantasy V though, I mean at the time it was amazing, so I'll put that as my number 5.
Yeah. Cool. All right, Corey, your number 5 Saturn game.
My number 5 Saturn game is Saturn Bomberman. That
cool.
Mostly has to do with just personal experience with the game. Your house and coming over to my house and playing it, just constantly playing that game all the time. And yeah, it's one of the best multiplayer games ever. And I know that Matt's friend Evan took it and never gave it back.
Ooh,
I know this for a fact.
Drama.
I'm calling you out, buddy.
Drama.
Well, he knows it too. Matt knows, he knows this. So,
yeah, I think that was a great game. My number 5 Saturn game was Street Fighter Alpha 3.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's one of the things that I always envied about the Saturn, because my cousin had it. The Capcom fighting games, especially, just were so much better on the Saturn.
So good.
Like PlayStation, like I remember buying, I think Marvel Superheroes or whatever it was, and it played like dog shit on the PlayStation. I was like, nope. And this is back in the day when
Saturn really excelled at 2D sprite-based
games.
It did.
Yep, it did, and I love that. But because of that, what was it? I remember EB Games had that this brief policy where it's like you could return any game, no questions asked, get your like money back. Maybe it was in the form of store credit, but I was like, no, I don't want this game. Like, just absolutely take it back. It's trash. That's all I got. Because my cousin had the Saturn version. I was like, I'll just play it over at his house.
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
Yeah, I loved Alpha 3. Best form of the Alpha games. It was, like you said, it was awesome. I think the music was better on the Saturn than it was on the PlayStation, if I remember right. And the frame rate was actually more solid too on the Saturn. That Saturn was a great little device.
2D fighters on the Saturn were always better.
Yeah, sprite games, really.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, but so that was my number 5. Mike, I know you're not an Alpha fan. That's why I was thinking like, oh, Mike would have probably loved to play this, but I forgot you like just were Mortal Kombat. You weren't really into Street Fighter then. All right.
No, I mean arcades. I played both of those a little, but didn't need one of them at home.
All right. My number 4 PlayStation game was Vagrant Story.
Nice.
Yeah.
One of the ones I haven't played actually. I have it on PlayStation 3, but can't fucking play it on my PS4.
One of the only ones I think I've replayed, because I actually got it on the PlayStation 3 when it was like super cheap, and I played through that. And so I mean that game graphically didn't age very well at all, but I remember playing that game a lot, and I loved that game. The story was amazing. Loved the gameplay on it. That was when Square was just churning out great RPGs, and loved that one. So that was my number 4. Tony, what was your number 4?
Let me see. My number 4, I'll just say, is going to be Metal Gear Solid. As you talk about, Metal Gear Solid, amazing game for the time. I mean, that was groundbreaking. I remember trying to like master that game and progressively try like the harder difficulties and like not getting caught and stuff like that. But I mean, I just remember being so impressed with that game, from like technical, from gameplay. It was just so awesome, and like there were just so many different things you could do in that game that just kind of like, even like today, like we're just starting to see that like exploration where, like the jail cell scene where it's like, there's multiple ways that you can get out of that jail cell, whereas in like every other game it's like, hey, there's only one route to victory here and stuff like that. So we talked about it recently with like Mike having played Snake Eater, but I would love one to get a complete remake, like Resident Evil, Final Fantasy 7, just complete remake. If Konami, fucking made video games still.
Did you ever play the Twin Snakes remake on GameCube?
Yeah, I did play that, and that was a lot better. Don't get me wrong. That was how I played it after the GameCube era. But after the GameCube era, like going back to it, it's still not like the same. Like it's close to like I would say MGS2, in terms of how it plays, because I think that's how when it came out after MGS2 but before MGS3. So I think they may have even used a modified MGS2 engine for it, where it's serviceable. Don't get me wrong, it's serviceable, but it still didn't hit the same notes and in the same style. So I just would love a complete remake of the first one.
Yeah, cool. All right, Corey, your number 4 Saturn game.
Number 4 Saturn game is Virtua Fighter 2.
Nice.
We played so much of that. Tournaments. We're
gonna have some overlap here, I'm sure. mine ranked in different orders than you, but we're about to get in some doubles here. So
yeah, sure.
Yeah, Virtua Fighter 2 we had in tournaments. I mean, Corey and I, and this is my number 3 game. But Corey and I would have. I mean, his brother would come over. My brothers would play. We would make brackets and pick fighters, and we would do
a March Madness type of thing.
Yeah. We would pick fighters. We couldn't pick the same one twice in each bracket. So you had to pick one, and then you would have like your favorite one, or you would pick, you know what I mean? Like
we'd have like a team of like 3 or 4 fighters that we'd play as, and then Leon would always win.
Yes, Leon was the guy that would win almost every time.
Which one was he? Was he in the first one?
No. He was a new character.
That's what I don't know.
He was like the kid that came into it.
Was it Pei? Pei was the one I always, right? That was her name?
He played as Pei a lot.
I think so. I played the first Virtua Fighter, obviously, for the 32X. I pronounced all of their names wrong consistently forever.
Sure. Yeah. But yeah, no, Virtua Fighter, one of the best pure fighting games, without any super powers or anything like that. They're just combo 3D.
Well, I believe the first one was the first 3D fighter, right?
Mm-hmm. I think so. Like 3, actually with depth and stuff.
Yeah. That was what they brought, the VFX chip or whatever, the VFX graphics. Yeah. So that was my number 3. Yeah. To not go again, my number 4 was Bomberman. I should have talked when you said it. So love that game. Again, a multiplayer game. This goes back to like who we were with, the multi-tap. We had to get multi-taps together for this.
Oh yeah.
And then
8-player, man. 8-player Bomberman.
Yeah, the multi-taps. 8-player Bomberman. I mean, that was unheard of back in that day.
On one screen. Double multi-tap.
Oh, God.
Yeah, so...
and then, like, when you got eliminated, you weren't eliminated because you just start throwing bombs in from the outside. Awesome.
Yeah. Then you could just bomb people that you hated. I love that game so much. That was just so much fun. Love that game. So, Tony, what were we at? Number 3?
Yeah,
right?
number 3.
4? Yeah, number 3.
Number 3. Number 3 for me was this little-known game, JRPG called Valkyrie Profile, which was like a cult classic. I think after it, because I don't think it like sold spectacularly well, but afterwards when people started like playing it because it was like a niche.
It hit PSP too.
It hit PSP. The PSP version has a lot of like slowdown and loading and stuff like that. So it was just one of those things that I'm like, no, I'm not gonna play it in an inferior way and stuff like that. But Valkyrie Profile was really cool because it introduced that, combination of like a 2D platformer overworld with an interesting premise for an battle system where it's like, hey, every character is linked to a face button, and you got to use timing and different combinations to stagger the enemy and do like crazy special moves and stuff like that. But the story itself was like really, really dark for that. So I mean, first of all, you play as a Valkyrie who goes around. And when a warrior is about to die, or when they die rather, like because you visit them, like you get the premonition that they were about to die, so you go and visit them to try to harvest their spirit/soul and recruit them for the war that leads to Ragnarok, basically. So it's about you playing essentially Pokemon with like people like badass warriors, knights, monks, priests, mages. And you just gather them for fucking Valhalla and stuff like that. Where it's like, hey, we gotta fight a war of Ragnarok, and we need powerful spirits. So come with me, Pikachu, and stuff like that. So it's really, it's a really dark game because like pretty much it's like, oh, this character has a backstory, and they're so happy, and tragedy happens, and it's like some like I don't want to say it's like Game of Thrones esque, but like it for the time it might have well has been because like it's just like, oh, this character just like outright got murdered, like. No happy ending for them, just like outright murder. Just like, cool. And now they're my auxiliary party member. I'm not even using them. It's just like, you're just in the background, like you're just, backup and stuff like that. But amazing game, beautiful to look at. The sprite work is just still holds up to this day.
Company's games are crazy sprites.
Oh yeah.
What's the company?
Not
Trying to remember it now. Yeah.
Triace. I think it's Triace.
That sounds right. That sounds right.
Yeah. Because I think they made Star Ocean too as well.
Right.
Yes.
So it's just a fantastic game, and again, just like the what I've been saying for this whole thing, I would love for that to get ported. Like not even like just a remake. I would be happy with just like a remaster. It's like, hey, like we're not gonna mess with it. Like it's just in HD assets. Like here's the game and stuff like that. So maybe Square Enix, because they own the rights, maybe they can throw some Final Fantasy VII money to make that happen.
Yeah. All right, Corey, you're number 3.
What was your number 3 PlayStation game, Jim?
Oh, did I do number 3? Oh, number 3 for me was Final Fantasy VII. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Cool. Yeah, Final Fantasy VII. We're doing the remake right now. It's fresh. Love that game. Played it to death. Like Tony said, played every nook and cranny of that game. Found every single secret you can find. This was in the early days of the internet, but I did get to look up some stuff that I may have missed, and we went back and did those. I remember like playing with friends and playing this game, like making sure we got everything done. Knights of the Round was the coolest summon spell I think I've ever seen in my life. It still is to this day. So like my favorite game, one of my favorite games, obviously, and the only reason why it's number 3 is because the top 2 are just unbeatable in my opinion, and to differentiate between these two is tough, but I went with I think it's pretty obvious for number 1, but that was my number 3. Number 3, Saturn.
My number 3 Saturn game was Guardian Heroes.
It's the only one I've been played. Like
now,
if I had to do it, I'm like, I don't care. That's my number. That would be my personal number 1 because I haven't played the other ones that I assume are going to be on your number 1
right
slot.
So that is my number 2. So our lists are very similar because we played together, obviously, but that we have one shift because Corey's number 1 is not my number 1, so my number 1 would be his number 2.
Yeah.
And
you had
so
Alpha,
it's like
and I didn't have Alpha. So.
Yeah, and I didn't have Alpha. Yeah, I mean, he didn't have Alpha. So my number 2 is Guardian Heroes because of this reason. I mean, again, a multi-tap game.
Multi-tap and like one of the best,
craziest fighters.
Beat 'em up. Had like fantasy guys. I can't even remember their names now, but like the skeleton guy, I always loved. And it was like you had different fields of battle. Like it was a 2D side scroller, but you could go. There was depth to it. So like there's like 3 levels. Like, so it's the front, the middle, and the back. So you were kind of like jumping between those. And then there was like a level above you, and then like you could fly up into the sky and fight up there. There's like a lot going on in this game for a side scroller essentially, and it was really cool when it came back out on Xbox. But this game I killed it. I just played this to death on Saturn.
Yeah, I actually liked the adventure game. Like the actual game itself was good. The fighting game was the best part of this game. But there was
the battle mode. Yeah, it was like it was all. Like,
the battle mode was the best part.
So much.
Yeah, the adventure game on its own was really fun and let you kind of experience the individual characters and their stories. But the battle mode was just like Undead was like. Had that big explosion attack. Oh my god!
They had their superpowers, Yep. And again, beautiful sprite work there.
Yeah, another sprite game. And again, it probably didn't run at the best frame rates when we had a lot of people on the screen, but it did run at least, considering how many fighters were on screen at the same time. It was quite incredible. 3 different layers of fighting rows. So you had the back row, the middle row, and the front row. It was unbelievable how that worked.
So many characters too. Like there's so many branching paths. Like it has so much replayability.
There's a bunch of palette swaps, but like fine at the time. But yeah, exactly. They felt like they played a little different. So
yeah. So that was my number 2. That was your number 3. Okay, Tony, your number 2 PlayStation game.
My number 2 is something we talked about on the Moviecast actually this week, but it's going to be Castlevania Symphony of the Night. That game just really took Castlevania in a new direction.
I wasn't sure if this was going to be number 1 or if the other one's going to be number 1.
No, my number 1.
I have to imagine. Yeah. Anyway, go ahead.
But yeah, I mean, this game again, just it's funny because the PlayStation, was really well known for its 3D graphics and stuff like that. Yeah. But my favorite games on these were not even 3D games. I love beautiful 2D sprite work. I just think it still holds up well. Like my top 3, I would play easily over my number 4 and 5 because they just don't age as well and stuff like that. Whereas I would be happy with just an HD port of this, and I think it's available on the systems now. But Castlevania was just like this new direction where it's like, hey, it's gonna rip off of or take, I don't want to say rip off in a bad way, but it's like, hey, take another favorite series of mine, Metroid, and mash it together with Castlevania. Because Castlevania up to then was just like, hey, level by level, traditional NES style game where it's like, okay, cool, like I get it, that's fine, but let's spice it up. And it was this grand adventure where you play as Alucard, the son of Dracula, out to kill his dad, and it's like you have this entire castle to just explore, and there's so many mysteries and power-ups and whatnot, enemies to fight. There are enemies that were created just for like one room in this game. It's just like, holy crap, that's intense. And spoiler alert, once you think you beat the game, it's like, ha, surprise, bitch, upside down castle, double the map size. And it's just like, mind blown. In addition to that, like, there's extra playable characters. Saturn version had, I think, Maria as a playable character, whereas I think the PlayStation version only got Richter and stuff like that. But again, beautiful soundtrack, amazing artwork, memorable lines. I mean, that meme where what is a man? A miserable pile of secrets, and stuff like that. Just number 2, easily.
Oh.
Yeah.
Your
cool.
number 2,
my number 2 is Final Fantasy Tactics.
There it is.
I'll just talk because that's my number 1.
It had to be.
Yeah. The only reason why I think it number 1 is because Suda couldn't too. Okay. But Final Fantasy Tactics, like, you can just keep playing this game. You can play it now. I mean, it doesn't matter. It ages perfectly. Sprites game, strategy game. Again, like we played.
Probably still the best tactics strategy game. I think
it is, and the best story. I mean, it's unbelievable how good that story was. For
like 1998 or whatever it was.
Yeah.
I get so. I mean, like how attached you get to the characters. It's like I didn't have that experience until probably Fire Emblem Awakening was the next time I got attached to a character like that.
Yeah.
It wasn't nearly as much as Final Fantasy Tactics. Love this game, but this is your number 1, so go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, what's to say? Like, it was, I was always a Final Fantasy fan since SNES, but 7 got me like really interested in the series because that's like, when I was becoming like a teenage adult, whatever, young man crap, and it's like, oh, like these are my interests, like these are gonna, like, this is defining me as a person, stuff like that. And I remember being on such a high from FF7, I was like, oh, I just want anything else that I can play, and that's when like video games started to become super popular. I remember being again in like my local EB Games or EB Games at the time, and I was like, Final Fantasy Tactics, what the heck is this? There's a new Final Fantasy game coming out? Like, why haven't I heard about it? I flipped it over and I'm like, this looks a little weird. I still have the disc the case somewhere, and I was like, that's interesting. And it had really nice 2D hand drawn artwork and stuff like that. And I was like, you know what? Yeah, I'm just gonna blind buy this. Like, and back then, like, that's what you did because internet wasn't really a big thing back then, and stuff like that. So I was like, blind bought it, and I was just hooked from day one because it was like more of a medieval thing. Like FF7 did like that steampunk, cyberpunk, whatever you want to call it, hybrid thing. But this, took it back to its root of like a medieval fantasy with knights and
that was so,
mages, wizards, all that stuff. But yeah, like the story of being like the son of like a nobleman or noble knight and stuff like that. Trying to prove his rank in like an academy and stuff like that, and then surprise, like tragedy happens. You're like, oh shit, like okay, and then it goes like Game of Thrones style, where like it's intrigue and backstabbing and betrayal and murder and all this crap, and you're just like, holy shit, like this is like the best story and stuff like that for like the 90s, in my opinion, stuff like that. And yeah, again, sprite work, beautiful soundtrack. I still have the soundtrack on my iTunes playlist because I listen to a lot of the battle tracks and whatnot. Easily, my favorite game on the PlayStation 1, and I would love, even just a remaster, HD remaster. I'd be so happy with.
Yeah, I think I agree. That would be so good. I would absolutely. Game's been re-released on a few platforms, but we've never really gotten that nice remaster. So it definitely needs to exist and should exist. Square, it's next up. Come on. I mean,
I'll give you my money.
We got it with Resident Evil.
My stimulus money.
Yeah, we got it with Resident Evil. Come on, let's do this again. Obviously, you just finished 7, and you have a whole bunch ahead of you for still to have 7 to get it done.
But you can send your B team to do this. Like, they have the framework. It's not that bad.
That's
the thing that like really like triggers me is like, I feel like Fire Emblem has done so much for the strategy RPG genre. Like, why wouldn't Square just be like, you know what? Let's get some of that pie. Let's get some of that money. No, just don't. Nothing.
Yeah. All right. Corey, you're number, what are we on, 2?
Number 2. I'll just mention it real quick because I'll let you talk about it too.
It's my number 1. It's my number 1. We don't have to
get Number 2 Saturn game for me is Dragon Force.
Yeah.
So
it's unbelievable. Again, this is a game.
I've only ever heard you guys talk about this.
This is a single player game that we would all play together. Like we would sit in the room, we would all play the game to experience the story and like input things like you have to go over there and try over there. It's like partially a strategy game of how you would distribute your.
It's interesting because it's like this like over like world map and it's constantly going. It's real time. Like all these battles are going on and all these like armies are attacking castles.
It's somebody walking towards my castle right now. You got to watch for that while you're trying.
You have to manage like as soon as you start like expanding your territory, you have to manage like if I spread myself too thin, then these other territories are going to get taken over because I don't have enough people to defend it.
Yeah, like you had frontward castles. You're like, okay, I can remove all of the knights in this castle but one person so I can keep the flag up here. And I would move off like, 100 of these next knights to the front castle because nobody else could get to this. Or do I take a chance and say, okay, this is the most likely of castles to be attacked because it's bigger. So let's flood this with more people and leave this little guy with only one dude by himself over there and see if he can hold up. Or at least 10, I think it was 10 knights or whatever you have to leave there. Right. A small platoon of knights to hold this little keep. And it's like, it was strategy based on what you would do. And so as you would branch out, you would move your armies further out. And then you'd still have to watch your flank to see, because as there was like 6 different heroes or other teams on the board.
Like, there were like generals. Yeah, there was the generals, and then you had like your captains who were like, hero characters, and then you had your troops and stuff. And yeah, so you would see like the little sprites like walking around the map, and you're like, all right, this guy's moving towards me. I know I have this amount of time before I have to worry about it, and can I get to?
Can you get to your mustering? Whatever it's called.
There's like a whole separate sequence where it's like court essentially was court, and like you would capture the enemies, and then you could try to recruit them to your armies, and then a lot of times they would like just sign up and then betray you right away, and like you're
Rock.
like, what the it's always Rock.
Let me tell you the story about Rock. Rock is this thief fighter who you pick up at one of these guys he's fighting with, and you put him in your dungeon, and eventually you're like, because every time you go to your little political side of your story where you can restock your castles and distribute your knights,
area,
you can go to your dungeon and try to recruit these guys to join you. And Rock would be like, yeah, I'll join you, no problem, man. So he gets in your ranks, and you would fight like one battle with him in your ranks, and you would probably win it, and he would fucking desert you immediately, and you'd see him just run away. And then the worst part about this, Tony, would be like 1 or 2 fights later, as you're being attacked in one of your castles, he would show up in the enemy's army, like just fighting for the enemy, and you're like, are you fucking serious?
Yeah, and there's like, I think there's like some ruins and stuff that like some of them could hide. So like they'd be hiding in these ruins, and as you started expanding, they'd be behind you, and then they'd pop out, and you're like, oh shit! Like there's
an army behind me. Oh shit! Yeah.
So
it's awesome.
Yeah, so many cool stuff with this game, and then it had a great story as well. Like you could play as 5 of the 6 characters, I think, because the one Gold Arc, whatever, was like the bad guy of the game, but then like later on you learn other things that happen. There's like a Black Knight that's always talked about, but then like you learn about this Black Knight, which is kind of cool. And yeah, so it was so much fun.
The characters attachment again, Rudger.
You name the characters, and you'd have like the king or general or whatever, and then you'd have their right-hand man or whatever. Yep. And this is great. And there's different abilities. They had different powers. Each one had special attacks. Different troops had different weaknesses and strengths against each other. So it's like dragons and monks and archers and harpies.
And each one would be strengths and weaknesses against the other. Mm-hmm. So you would have to match up properly. So it was really, really awesome. Yeah, special moves.
I mean,
holds up today.
I've always remembered you guys talking about. I think did Buddha play with you guys too? Because
we got Buddha.
And it's one of those things where like I never got the experience, and I just hope that now that Sega started like remaking the Panzer Dragoon games, that hopefully this will make their list.
This is not announced. They published it, but it was Working Designs was the developer, so I don't know who owns the rights to it. I have to say though, the Working Design games back in the day, those manuals, those instruction booklets were the.
I think you have it the other way around. It was
Working Designs published it, and then
Working Designs published it. Sega developed it.
Yeah, and then so hopefully we get a remake of this. Oh my, we don't even have to. I don't care if they just re-release it. They could just re-release it as long as it's playable.
This is like when I talked about before, backwards compatibility. This is one game that I would play. I would the exception because I've looked for emulators just for this game, and Saturn you can't emulate Saturn because it's just a piece of
it's so hard.
Hot garbage.
That. Yep.
So
all right. Tony, your number 1 PlayStation game.
All tactics, he said.
Oh, Tactics. That's right.
I jumped on.
That's right.
Yep.
My number one was Suikoden 2 for PlayStation.
I mean, Priest of Curse, it made it better if you played 1, but.
But 1 was not nearly as good as 2. That's why I put 2 down.
Of course not.
2 had like the most characters, including the hero from 1, who I would, after I beat 1, whenever I would start Suikoden 2, I'd go, because every time you loaded the game up from the beginning, like it doesn't matter, you could save it someplace, no matter what happens, the original hero would not be in your party. You'd have to walk across the map to get him, to recruit him, and then you could start playing your game with him in your party. And I'm like, okay, I would walk across the map, get him in my party, and then I would actually start playing my game. So I would take like 15 minutes to go get the hero whenever I would start playing this game. So I would have my original hero plus the new hero. And just like the amount of different recruitments to have, the different characters, to build up your kingdom. There was like a chef you could get to include into your kingdom to help like your food reserves. There was like so many minor things, like the early things that this did in this game. Again, another story that was awesome. I loved the combat. It was a turn-based system, but it was like really like action-based. Like it was really cool to watch it unfold, and love the story, love the betrayal. There's betrayal stories, and those are usually the best when you get a nice betrayal story from that. I don't know, it was really good. The amount of
characters you could find and then recruit too.
There's a character that if you missed him in the first 5 minutes of the game, you could not get him. He was gone.
It was like a wizard that would just like run away or something, right? Wasn't that like one of?
There was a thief in the beginning that if you missed him, you could not recruit him. You'd have to start over. The game was that punishing.
If you wanted to get all, it was like what 128 characters or something.
I think it was like 160. It was ridiculous how many characters in this game. 160 different characters you can have in your party. I think it was. It was crazy. So maybe it was 128. I don't know. It was ridiculous.
This is a huge amount, and I remember playing this game a ton too with you. So that'd be up there for me.
Corey, give us your $1,000 game. That's your number one game.
Yeah, my number one game on Saturn is Panzer Dragoon Saga. It's also my number one game of all time. So there's that. I doubt it holds up to what my memories of it are, but I remember getting that game and just playing that nonstop for the entire summer essentially, and we had a foreign exchange student came to the United States to stay with us to experience America, and that's all he wanted to do as well. So we just sat in our basement playing Dragoon Saga constantly, just going back and forth.
Yeah, I remember that. He would. He spoke very, very little English, like his poor English, but it was like he had English, he could talk English, but he was like not great with it, and he would just. I remember it won, right?
Yeah. So it was definitely one of the greatest gaming experiences of my life, and I can't even talk too much about the game too much because it's more just like a memory of it. But like I know like the game, it was an RPG because it was based off of the Panzer Dragoon Saga or Panzer Dragoon games, which is like an on-rail shooter, but this was a huge departure because it was an RPG, and the idea was like you're this guy who kind of finds this girl in a rock or something, and then she's obviously special, and then you have to go on this adventure. And the ending of this game was just a kick in the balls though, because it sets up for a sequel and we never get a sequel. So it's like one of those things.
Maybe someday.
So I mean, who knows? But yeah, that game, and there's a huge story behind it. That's why it's so expensive too now, is that they only made like 30,000 copies or something like that, and then the source code was fried and destroyed, and so now they don't have it. So you'd have to essentially recreate the game from memory, or just by playing the game and trying to do it. So, but yeah, no, I feel I do regret selling my copy of that game because I would just like to have it like framed or something.
Yeah. I mean, it's your favorite game of all time. It's weird that you don't have it. So, all right. That's it for our lists. We're done. We get them all. So that's our top list. Hope you guys appreciate it. Sorry, Mike. We'll definitely get a topic in for you next week. Obviously, just had to cover we had to cover these two systems. Like you can't skip these.
I mean, again, it's one of my favorite games of all time.
I know, but I'm not saying. But I'm telling you, didn't make the right decision.
I know. I'm behind that decision with these lists.
You are a little younger than us.
You were younger and couldn't buy it yourself. I get it. So, but coming up, we're gonna make a Dreamcast list. There's gonna be a bunch. We're going through lists. We might as well. Hey, what else are we doing? We're in quarantine, guys. So let's
gotta take it back to the past.
Yeah, the comfort stuff. So what are we doing? PS2, Dreamcast,
GameCube.
GameCube.
I mean, can we just say Xbox is gonna be like Halo 1, Halo 1 and 2 and
I
Fable
can't
1 and
make
2.
It's really hard for me to make a GameCube list because I didn't really play the GameCube much. Like I played it, but I
Oh.
was with Buddha and stuff. So
Should we just do that generation, or will
Yeah. I think
expand
there's
it to 10
There's
maybe?
enough. I think there's enough for those systems. I mean,
I think there's plenty for those systems. I really do.
I
there's-
just had the GameCube for that.
See, and I didn't really
generation.
play the GameCube, so you guys can
That's
talk
all
about
I
that all you
had.
want. Like Corey, did you play any GameCube stuff?
I played the known ones, like the popular ones.
Yeah.
That's it.
Like I didn't really even play Metroid Prime, so it's like not
I
a
think
big.
it was Smash Bros. And
Oh, that hurts.
I know. I mean, I played Mario. Don't get me wrong. I played Mario Party,
I hurt.
Smash Brothers.
yeah,
And I
we'll
played-
definitely have to get into it. But obviously I was a Dreamcast guy. I was Sega until then.
And
And then
I played Dreamcast like crazy then too.
I did too. I
So-
went from Dreamcast to GameCube.
So you can talk about Dreamcast at least. You just can't
Yeah,
talk
we
about PlayStation 2.
Yeah, we can do Dreamcast next. That's fine.
So PlayStation 2 will be the tougher one. Actually, I got PlayStation 2 late, so that's for me. It's going to be interesting. My list. I have to look at the games. I don't
I mean,
remember.
I did get it eventually too, but I got it very late too, and didn't care too much. I had a handful of exclusives or third
Yeah.
party really.
So.
PlayStation 2. Yeah, this is gonna be a hard one for me.
yeah,
still remember
there's a lot of good games on that system.
Yeah.
It's out for so long. So.
Yeah, that was such a yeah. So all right, that's going to wrap up 493 of the Gamecast. Thanks for tuning in. It's a long one. You can write us podcast at allyangeek.net. Follow us on Twitter, allyangeek. Like us on Facebook. If you're watching this on YouTube, hit that subscribe button and the like button. Stay safe, stay healthy. We'll see you guys next week with these topics once we work them out. See ya.
Yep.